3 days after the concert, Captain Jake Morrison woke up to alarms blaring throughout the USS Harmony. He quickly got dressed and rushed to the bridge, where he found Lisa Hayes staring at her communication screens with wide eyes. "Captain, you need to see this," Lisa said, her voice filled with amazement and worry. "We're receiving messages from all over the galaxy, hundreds of them." "What kind of messages?" Jake asked, settling into his captain's chair. "They're all asking about Lucy, about humans, about our music." Lisa pulled up the messages on the main screen. "Look at this one from the Rigel system. We have heard that the sound makers have been found. Please confirm if the divine frequency bearers are real." Jake felt his stomach drop. "How many species are asking?" "At least 30 different civilizations so far. And Captain, some of these messages are coming from thousands of light years away. Word is spreading faster than we could have imagined." Dr. Blake hurried onto the bridge, carrying her tablet and looking very concerned. "Captain, we have a big problem. The aliens have been broadcasting our concert to other worlds. They're calling it the First Awakening and treating it like the most important religious event in galactic history." "Show me," Jake said. Dr. Blake connected her tablet to the main screen. They could see recordings of their crew singing, but the aliens had added their own commentary. The words appeared as glowing symbols, translated into English by their computers. "Behold the frequency bearers," the narrator said. "Witness the divine beings who carry the voice of creation within their bodies. See how they channel the sacred. Sounds that awaken the soul." The video showed each crew member singing, but the aliens had enhanced the recording somehow. The music seemed more powerful, more emotional than it had been in person. Special effects made the humans appear to glow with holy light. "They've turned us into religious figures," Jake said quietly. "It gets worse," Dr. Blake said. "Show him." "The other recordings, Lisa." Lisa pulled up more videos. These showed aliens from different worlds trying to copy human singing. Most of them couldn't do it properly, but they were building temples and shrines dedicated to the singing ones. "This is from the planet Vega Prime," Lisa explained. "They've built a massive temple shaped like a human mouth. They gather there every day to try to create what they call holy sounds." Another video showed a different alien species on a world with 3 suns. They had carved enormous sculptures of human faces and were playing recordings of the crew singing. "On repeat, they're treating our music like sacred scripture," Dr. Blake said. "Some worlds have declared our songs to be divine commandments." Before Jake could respond, Ambassador Vector appeared on the bridge. He had learned to use their communication system and could now project his image directly to them. "Honored frequency bearers," Vector said, his symbols glowing brighter than usual. "We bring wonderful news. 12 different worlds have requested to join our pilgrimage to witness your divine sounds." "Pilgrimage?" Jake asked. "Yes, mighty ones. Ships are coming from across the galaxy to hear you sing. The Council of Worlds has declared this the most important spiritual event in recorded history." Dr. Blake stepped forward. "Ambassador, we need to talk about this. We're not divine beings. We're just people who can sing." "But that is exactly what makes you divine," Vector replied. "The ability to create the sacred frequency is proof of your connection to the source of all existence. No other species in the galaxy possesses this gift." "But we could teach you," Frank Davis said as he entered the bridge. "Music can be learned. It's not magic or divine power." Vector's crystal body flickered with confusion. "You speak of teaching the divine frequency to ordinary beings like us? This is beyond our understanding." Suddenly, the ship's communication system came alive with dozens of new messages. Lisa frantically tried to manage them all. "Captain, we're being contacted by something called the Universal Council of Fates. They want to declare humans as the first confirmed divine species in galactic history. And this one," Pete Johnson said, pointing to another message, "is from a group calling themselves the Church of the Sacred Sound. They want to build temples on Earth." Jake felt overwhelmed. Their simple exploration mission had somehow started a galactic religion. "Lisa, get me a secure channel to Earth. We need to warn them about what's happening." While Lisa worked on contacting Earth, more aliens arrived at their location. The space around the USS Harmony was now filled with over 200 alien ships from dozens of different species. Each group wanted to hear the humans sing and witness the divine frequency for themselves. "Captain," Amy Collins said over the communication system, "I have aliens in my medical bay ask me to sing while I work. They say my voice has healing properties. And I have a group of them watching me cook," added Bobby Martinez. "They think my singing while I prepare food makes the meal sacred." Young Ensign Lucy Foster contacted the bridge from the ship's library. "Captain, there are aliens here asking me to read them stories while singing. They don't understand the words, but they say my voice carries ancient wisdom." Jake realized that every crew member was being treated like a religious figure. The situation was getting out of control. "Dr. Blake, what do your studies tell us about why they're reacting this way?" "It's really quite simple, Captain," Dr. Blake said. "These alien species have developed advanced technology and mathematics, but they never evolved the ability to create or appreciate music. To them, organized sound that carries emotion is as impossible as magic. But why do they think we're divine?" "Because in their understanding of the universe, the ability to create harmonious sound patterns should only belong to gods or cosmic forces. They can't comprehend that a biological species could naturally develop this ability." Chaplain Frank Davis had been quiet during this discussion, but now he spoke up. "Captain, I think I understand what's happening. These aliens have been searching for spiritual meaning in their lives, just like humans do. When they heard our music, it filled a need they didn't even know they had." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Music connects us to our emotions and to something greater than ourselves. These aliens have never had that connection before. To them, we've given them their first real spiritual experience." Ambassador Victor's image flickered back to life on the screen. "Divine Ones, we have received a message from the planet Kepler 442. Young Seeker Melandra has achieved something remarkable." "What happened?" Dr. Blake asked. "She listened to your sacred recordings for many days and nights. This morning, she produced a sound that carried emotional resonance. It was simple, but it was the first time any of our species has created something similar to your divine frequency." On the screen, they could see a recording of a young alien making a sound that was almost like humming. It was rough and uneven, but it was definitely an attempt at melody. "This proves that the divine frequency can be shared," Victor continued. "You truly are teachers sent by the cosmos to awaken us to new possibilities." Lucy Foster's voice came over the communication system again. "Captain, you need to hear this. I was reading to the aliens in the library, and one of them just sang back to me. It was actually quite beautiful." Jake looked at his crew. Maybe this isn't such a disaster after all. If they can learn to make music themselves, maybe they'll stop worshiping us. "I'm not so sure about that," Dr. Blake said. "Look at this data I've been collecting." She showed them charts and graphs on her tablet. "The aliens who have learned to make simple musical sounds are reporting even stronger spiritual experiences than before. They're saying that humans have unlocked their souls." "That's actually beautiful," Frank said. "We've helped them discover a part of themselves they never knew existed. But they're still treating us like gods," Jake pointed out. Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert from Lisa. "Captain, I'm receiving a priority message from Earth. Admiral Roberts wants to speak with you immediately." The main screen changed to show Admiral Sarah Roberts, the head of Earth's Space Exploration Command. She looked very serious. "Captain Morrison, we've been monitoring the alien communications about your mission. Do you realize that half the galaxy now believes humanity is a divine species?" "Yes, Admiral. We're trying to manage the situation." "Manage it?" "Captain, we have alien ships requesting permission to enter our solar system. They want to build shrines on Earth and establish what they're calling pilgrimage routes to our planet." Jake felt his heart sink. "How many ships?" Over 5,000 from more than 100 different worlds. They're calling Earth the sacred world of the frequency bearers. Some of them are treating our planet like their new holy land. Dr. Blake stepped into view of the screen. Admiral, this happened because these aliens have never experienced music before. To them, human singing is proof of divine power. I understand that, Doctor. But we now have a religious movement spanning multiple galaxies, and humans are at the center of it. Some alien groups are fighting each other over the right to hear. Different types of human music. Fighting? Jake asked. Apparently, there's a dispute between aliens who prefer your crew member Tony's humming and those who favor the woman who sang the hymn. They form different sects of what they're calling the Church of Sacred Sound. The next morning, Captain Jake Morrison woke up to find his ship surrounded by alien vessels. Through his cabin window, he could see dozens of crystal ships floating in the space around them. Each one was different in shape and size, but all glowed with the same beautiful light he had seen on the Zentari ships. Lisa Hayes was already on the bridge when Jake arrived. She looked tired but excited. Captain, we have visitors. A lot of visitors. How many? Jake asked, looking out at the alien fleet. 47 ships so far, and more keep arriving. They're not just Zentari either. The computer has identified at least 6 different alien species. They all want to hear humans sing. Jake rubbed his forehead. This was getting more complicated by the hour. What do they want exactly? Ambassador Vector has requested a formal cultural exchange ceremony. He says the High Council of the Zentari Empire wants to witness what they're calling the Divine Frequency Demonstration. Dr. Blake entered the bridge carrying a tablet full of data. Captain, I've been studying the alien communications all night. They're not just curious about our music anymore. They're treating it like a religious event. What do you mean? Jake asked. Listen to this, Dr. Blake said, playing a recording. The alien voices were translated into English, but even through the translation, the excitement and reverence in their words was clear. The sound makers have arrived, one alien voice said. The ones who can touch the frequency of creation itself. We must witness this miracle. They're coming from all over this part of the galaxy, Dr. Blake continued. Word has spread that humans can create something they call soul sound. To them, this is the most important discovery in their history. Jake made a decision. Get M.E. Chaplain Davis. If this is turning into a religious event, I want our spiritual advisor involved. An hour later, Jake met with his senior staff in the conference room. Chaplain Frank Davis was a kind older man with gray hair and gentle eyes. He had been the ship's spiritual counselor for 5 years and had helped many crew members through difficult times. From what I understand, Frank said, these aliens have never experienced anything like music before. To them, it's like we're demonstrating a direct connection to the divine. That's exactly right, Dr. Blake said. Their brain scans show that when they hear humans singing, they enter states similar to what we would call religious ecstasy. So what do? Tony Rodriguez asked. He still seemed uncomfortable with all the attention. We give them what they want, Jake said. But we do it carefully. Frank, I want you to organize a proper presentation. Get some of the crew together. Who can sing well? Make it respectful and meaningful. I can do that, Frank said. We have several crew members who sing in our informal choir. I think we can put together something beautiful. 2 hours later, the humans prepared for the most important concert in galactic history. The aliens had prepared a massive chamber in the Zentari flagship. It was enormous, with crystal walls that seemed to amplify sound and light. Hundreds of aliens from different species filled the room, all waiting silently. Frank had chosen 5 crew members to perform. There was Kate Williams, the navigation officer who had a beautiful soprano voice. Bobby Martinez, the cook, would sing in Spanish. Pete Johnson would perform his country songs. Amy Collins, the medical officer, had a rich alto voice. And Tony Rodriguez would hum the simple melodies that had started it all. Remember, Frank told his small choir, we're not just performing, we're sharing something sacred. These beings have never experienced harmony, melody, or rhythm. To them, we're opening a door to something they've never imagined. Captain Morrison, Dr. Blake, and Lisa Hayes accompanied the choir to the alien ship. The chamber was even more impressive up close. The crystal walls pulsed with gentle light, and the ceiling was transparent, showing the stars above. Ambassador Victor stood at the center of the room with 12 other aliens. Dr. Blake recognized some of them as important leaders from the various species that had arrived. Honored sound makers, Victor said, his words appearing in glowing symbols above the crowd. We have gathered representatives from many worlds to witness this miracle. Please, share with us the divine frequency that flows through your beings. Frank, step forward. We are honored to share our music with you. In our culture, music is a way to express our deepest emotions and connect with something greater than ourselves. We hope you will find meaning in what we offer. The first performance was Kate Williams singing Amazing Grace. Her clear, pure voice filled the chamber with the ancient melody. The effect on the aliens was immediate and profound. The Zentauri began to glow brighter, their crystal bodies resonating with the sound. The other alien species reacted differently, but just as strongly. Some began to vibrate, others seemed to enter trance-like states, and a few actually began to weep a strange, luminous fluid. When Kate finished, the silence was complete. Then slowly, one of the alien leaders began to speak. I am High Counselor, Jekthul of the Zentari Empire. The symbols appeared larger and brighter than any they had seen before. In 10,000 cycles of our civilization, we have never experienced anything like this. This is not mere sound. This is the voice of the cosmos itself. The crowd of aliens began to glow brighter, and some began to make sounds of their own. They were trying to copy the melody, but their voices were different. They created harmonic tones that sounded like crystal bells ringing in perfect harmony. Bobby Martinez was next. He sang a Spanish lullaby that his grandmother had taught him, a gentle song about stars watching over sleeping children. His warm voice filled the chamber with comfort and peace. La noche estrellada vela por ti, Bobby sang. Las estrellas cantan una canción de amor. The aliens' reaction was different. This time, instead of excitement, they seemed to enter a state of deep peace. Many of them sat down and closed their eyes, their bodies glowing with soft, warm light. This sound brings tranquility, observed another alien leader. It creates harmony within our consciousness. How is this possible? Dr. Blake was recording everything, and she noticed something remarkable. The aliens weren't just listening to the music. They were physically changing in response to it. Their brain patterns were synchronizing with the melodies, and their bodies were producing new types of energy fields. Pete Johnson performed next, singing his country song about going home. His deep voice told the story of a man who had traveled far but always remembered where he came from. Down that dusty road I used to know, Pete sang, where the wildflowers grow and the creek runs slow, that's where my heart will always go. The aliens found this song particularly fascinating because it told a story through music. They had never encountered the concept of narrative combined with organized sound. The frequency carries information, marveled one of the scientists, not just emotion, but actual meaning and imagery. This is beyond our understanding of communication. Amy Collins sang a hymn, her rich alto voice carrying the words of hope and faith. The aliens seemed to understand that this was different from the other songs, more serious and sacred. How great thou art! How great thou art! Amy sang, her voice rising with each word. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. The aliens' response was the strongest yet. Many of them began to glow so brightly that the humans had to shield their eyes. Some of the aliens appeared to be having intense spiritual experiences, their bodies shaking with what looked like religious ecstasy. This is worship, Jekthul observed. This being is using the divine frequency to praise something greater than herself. This proves that your species is connected to the source of all existence. Finally, Tony Rodriguez stepped forward. He was nervous, but Frank had encouraged him to share the simple melodies that had started everything. Tony began to hum the lullaby his mother had sung to him as a child. It was a wordless melody, pure and simple, carrying the love and comfort of a mother's voice. The effect was unlike anything they had seen before. Every alien in the chamber began to resonate with the sound. Their bodies synchronized with Tony's humming, creating a harmony that seemed to fill the entire ship. When Tony finished, the silence lasted for several minutes. Then Jekthul spoke again, his words appearing in symbols that seemed to burn with holy light. "We have witnessed the impossible," he said. "These beings possess the ability to channel the fundamental frequency of creation itself. They are either blessed by the highest powers in the universe, or they are themselves divine messengers sent to awaken us." The crowd of aliens began to make sounds of agreement, their voices creating a chorus of harmonic tones that filled the chamber. Another alien leader, a tall being with golden skin, stepped forward. "I am Wise One Kadivar of the Stellar Collective. I have studied the mysteries of existence for 3,000 cycles. What we have witnessed today changes everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality." "How so?" Captain Morrison asked. "Your species possesses vocal cords that can create organized sound patterns, carrying emotional and spiritual resonance. In our understanding of the universe, such ability should not exist in biological beings. Yet here you are demonstrating what we can only call divine power." Dr. Blake felt a chill run down her spine. "We're just singing. All humans can do this." The next morning, Dr. Susan Blake woke up early in her small room aboard the USS Harmony. She had barely slept after the meeting with the aliens. Her mind was racing with questions about what had happened when Tony hummed that simple tune. The aliens had reacted so strongly, like they had never heard anything like it before. She quickly got dressed and went to her laboratory. The room was filled with computers, scientific equipment, and charts about alien life forms. But now she had real aliens to study, not just theories from books. Computer, begin recording. Personal log, Dr. Susan Blake, day 1 after first contact, she said as she sat down at her desk. The Zentari alien showed an extreme reaction to human vocalization. I need to understand why. A few hours later, Captain Jake Morrison called. A meeting in the main conference room. The entire senior staff was there, including Dr. Blake, Lisa Hayes, Pete Johnson, and Tony Rodriguez. Everyone looked tired but excited. "The aliens have asked us to stay in their ship for a few more days," Jake said. "They want to learn more about us, and we need to learn about them. Dr. Blake, I want you to study their reaction to music. Lisa, keep working on communication. Pete, monitor their technology. Tony, you're coming with me to meet with their scientists." "Me?" Tony asked, looking surprised. "Why me?" "Because you're the one who made the sound that got their attention," Jake said. "They specifically asked for you." Tony shifted uncomfortably in his chair. He was not used to being important. He was just an engineer who fixed things when they broke. "I don't know what to say to them." "Just be yourself," Dr. Blake said kindly, "and maybe hum a little more if they ask." 2 hours later, Jake and Tony found themselves in a different part of the alien ship. This room was smaller than the meeting room, but it was filled with strange machines and devices that glowed with soft light. 3 Zentari aliens were waiting for them. "Welcome," said Ambassador Victor, his words appearing in the air as glowing symbols. "These are our most skilled scientists. They wish to understand the sounds you make." The first scientist stepped forward. Unlike Victor, this alien was shorter and had a more delicate appearance. Its crystal body was a pale blue color. "I am researcher Quindo," the alien said. "In our language, we have no word for what you did yesterday. Our translator called it organized sound with emotional resonance. Please, can you explain this concept?" Tony looked at Captain Morrison, who nodded encouragingly. Well, Tony said slowly, it's hard to explain. Music is ... Sounds that make us feel things. Happy, sad, excited, calm. We've been making music for thousands of years. Thousands of years? The second scientist, a tall alien with silver coloring, stepped forward. I am researcher Ziegmer. Are you saying your entire species can create these sounds? Yes, Tony said. Every human can sing or hum. Some are better at it than others, but we all can do it. The third scientist, who was golden in color, began to vibrate slightly. I am researcher Thilvik. Yesterday, when you made those sounds, I felt something I have never experienced before. It was like the sound went inside my mind and touched something deep within me. Tony didn't know what to say to that. He had never thought of his humming as anything special. Could you demonstrate again? Quindle asked. But this time, we would like to record the sounds and measure their effects on our bodies. Tony took a deep breath and began to hum the same tune from yesterday. It was a simple melody his mother used to sing when she cooked dinner. As he hummed, the aliens placed strange devices around the room and pointed them at him. The effect on the aliens was immediate. All three scientists began to change colors rapidly, their crystal bodies flashing through blues, purples, and greens. Ziegmer started to vibrate so strongly that Captain Morrison worried he might break apart. When Tony finished, the aliens were quiet for a long moment. Then Thilvik spoke, his words appearing brighter than usual. The sound creates patterns in our neural networks that we have never seen before. It is as if your voice opens pathways in our minds that we did not know existed. What does that mean? Captain Morrison asked. It means, Quindle said, that your species possesses something we thought was impossible. You can create organized sound that affects the deepest parts of consciousness. In our culture, we believe such a thing could only come from the gods. Meanwhile, back on the USS Harmony, Dr. Blake was conducting her own experiments. She had asked several crew members to sing or hum while she recorded everything. Her laboratory was now filled with the sounds of human voices. Pete Johnson was working on the ship's navigation system while singing an old country song his grandfather had taught him. The song was about a man who missed his home and wanted to return to the farm where he grew up. There's a place I know where the grass grows green and the sky is always blue, Pete sang in his deep voice. Where the birds sing sweetly in the morning dew, and my heart feels young and new. Dr. Blake was recording everything when she noticed something strange. The alien devices they had been given to help with communication were reacting to Pete's singing. The small crystal box on her desk was glowing brighter and changing colors in rhythm with the music. Pete, keep singing, she said excitedly. The alien technology is responding to your voice. Pete continued his song, and the crystal device began to pulse with warm golden light. Other alien devices around the room started to respond as well, creating a light show that matched the rhythm and melody of the country song. At the same time, in the ship's kitchen, cook Bobby Martinez was preparing lunch for the crew. Bobby was a cheerful man who loved to cook and always sang while he worked. Today he was making his famous chicken soup and singing a happy song in Spanish. La vida es bella cuando hay amor, Bobby sang as he stirred the soup. El corazón canta una canción. Unknown to Bobby, several Zentari aliens had been given permission to observe the human ship. They were watching through the ship's security cameras, trying to understand human behavior. When they heard Bobby singing, they immediately called for Ambassador Victor. Ambassador, the observer reported, the human in the food preparation area is creating the organized sounds again. But these sounds are different from the ones we heard yesterday. Victor rushed to the observation room and watched Bobby cooking and singing. The alien's crystal body began to glow with excitement. These sounds are more complex, Victor observed. They have patterns within patterns. And notice how the human's body movements match the sounds. This is not just vocalization. This is a complete form of expression. Back in the laboratory, Dr. Blake was making an important discovery. She had been studying the alien reactions to different types of human music, and she was beginning to understand something remarkable. "Computer, record this," she said. "The aliens don't just react to our music. They seem to be physically changed by it. Their brain patterns, their body chemistry, even their crystalline structure vibrates in harmony with human voices." She pulled up the data on her screen. The readings showed that when humans sang, the aliens' neural activity increased by 300%. Their bodies produced new types of electromagnetic fields. Most importantly, they seemed to enter a state that was similar to what humans might call spiritual or religious experience. "This is incredible," Dr. Blake said to herself. "We're not just making music. We're somehow connecting with the deepest parts of their consciousness." Later that day, Captain Morrison and Tony returned to the USS Harmony. They found Dr. Blake waiting for them in the conference room with a pile of data and a very serious expression on her face. "Captain, we have a problem," she said. "Or maybe an opportunity. I'm not sure which." "What did you find?" Jake asked. "The aliens don't just like our music," Dr. Blake said. "They're having what can only be described as religious experiences when they hear it. Their brain chemistry changes, their bodies resonate with the sound waves, and they enter states of consciousness they've never experienced before." "What does that mean for us?" Tony asked. "It means," Dr. Blake said slowly, "that we may have accidentally become the most important thing in their universe. Look at this data." She showed them recordings of the aliens' reactions to different crew members singing. Every time a human made music, the aliens responded with what appeared to be intense emotional and spiritual experiences. "They think we're special," Dr. Blake continued. "Not just different, but special in a way that connects to their deepest beliefs about existence and consciousness." Captain Morrison sat down heavily in his chair. "So what do we do now?" "We need to understand their culture better," Dr. Blake said. "And we need to be very careful about how we proceed. If they see us as something sacred or divine, that could change everything about first contact." As if summoned by their conversation, Lisa Hayes' voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain Morrison, to the bridge, please. The aliens are requesting another meeting. They say they have something very important to tell us about what they call the divine frequency." Jake looked at his team. "I have a feeling our simple exploration mission just became a lot more complicated." Dr. Blake nodded. "Captain, I think we may have just introduced music to a species that's been waiting their entire evolutionary history to hear it." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Harmony, watching the stars through the large window. The ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 months now. Their mission was simple: explore new areas of the galaxy and look for signs of life. So far, they had found nothing but empty space and dead planets. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Lisa Hayes from her position at the communications desk. She was a young woman with bright red hair and sharp green eyes. She had been the ship's communications officer for 2 years and was very good at her job. "What kind of strange?" Jake asked, walking over to her station. He was a tall man in his 40s with gray hair and kind blue eyes. He had been a starship captain for 15 years and had never encountered alien life before. "Unknown signals, sir. They're not like anything in our database. The patterns are too organized to be natural, but they're not using any communication methods we know about," Lisa said, adjusting the controls on her console. Jake felt his heart beat faster. This could be it. This could be humanity's first contact with alien life. "Can you tell where they're coming from?" "Yes, sir. About 2 light hours away, moving in our direction." "And Captain, there are a lot of them. At least 50 ships, maybe." "More." Jake pressed a button on his chair to speak to the entire ship. "All crew to battle stations. This is not a drill. We may have encountered alien vessels." The bridge suddenly became busy with activity. Dr. Susan Blake, the ship's scientist, hurried onto the bridge. She was a small woman with brown hair and glasses who studied alien life forms, though she had never seen a real one before. "Captain, are we really talking about aliens?" she asked, her voice full of excitement and fear. "We're about to find out," Jake said. "Lisa, try to make contact. Use the standard first contact protocols." Lisa began sending out mathematical sequences and basic scientific concepts. These were the signals that Earth scientists had decided would be the best way to communicate with alien life. Minutes passed with no response. "Captain, they're getting closer," said Pete Johnson from the navigation station. He was a young man from Texas who had joined the crew just 6 months ago. "Should we run?" "No," Jake said firmly. "If they wanted to hurt us, they probably would have done it already. We stay and try to communicate." Suddenly, the ship shook violently, not from weapons, but from some kind of energy field. The lights flickered, and then a strange blue glow filled the bridge. "What's happening?" Dr. Blake asked, holding onto her chair. "Some kind of tractor beam," Pete said, checking his controls. "They're pulling us toward their ships." Through the window, they could see alien vessels approaching. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked like they were made of crystal and metal, with strange lights moving across their surfaces. The largest ship was enormous, at least 10 times bigger than the USS Harmony. "Captain, they're trying to communicate," Lisa said. "It's not radio or any normal signal. It's like they're sending colors and patterns directly into our computer systems." "Can you understand any of it?" Jake asked. "The computer is trying to translate, but it's very different from anything we know. Wait, I think I'm getting something. They want us to dock with their main ship?" Jake thought for a moment. This was the most important decision in human history. "Tell them we agree, but slowly. We don't want to seem threatening." The alien ships guided the USS Harmony toward the largest vessel. As they got closer, the humans could see that the alien ship was even more amazing than they had first thought. It was covered in geometric patterns that seemed to move and change colors. It was like nothing they had ever imagined. "There's an opening in their ship," Pete said. "It's just the right size for us to enter." "Take us in slowly," Jake ordered. USS Harmony entered the alien ship through what looked like a mouth made of light. Inside, they found themselves in a huge chamber filled with the same blue glow they had seen on the bridge. The alien ship's walls were transparent, and they could see strange creatures moving around on different levels. "Captain, they want us to send over a small group for face-to-face contact," Lisa said. "They're sending coordinates for a meeting room." Jake chose his team carefully. You would go himself, along with Dr. Blake to study the aliens, Lisa to help with communication, and Tony Rodriguez, the ship's engineer. Tony was a quiet man who rarely spoke, but he was very good at fixing things and staying calm in difficult situations. The 4 humans put on their spacesuits and took a small shuttle to the alien ship. The meeting room was large and circular, with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal. The air was safe to breathe, according to their instruments, so they removed their helmets. "Remember," Jake said to his team, "we represent all of humanity. Stay calm, be respectful, and follow my lead." The aliens entered the room from the opposite side. The humans had never seen anything like them. The aliens were tall, about 8 feet high, and their bodies seemed to be made of the same crystal as their ships. They moved gracefully and made no sound as they walked. Their faces were angular and beautiful, with large eyes that changed color constantly. The leader of the aliens stepped forward. When it spoke, the words appeared in the air as floating symbols that somehow the humans could understand. "I am Ambassador Victor of the Zenthari Empire. We have traveled far to meet the species that controls these vessels. We come in peace and curiosity." Jake stepped forward. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Space Force. We also come in peace. This is our first meeting with life from another world." "First meeting? The alien's eyes flashed bright purple. Your species has not encountered others? No, we are alone in our part of the galaxy, Jake said. The aliens seemed to discuss this among themselves, though they made no sound. Instead, their bodies flashed different colors and complex patterns. This is most interesting, Victor said. We have been part of a galactic community for thousands of your years. There are many species, many worlds, many forms of life. But you are unique. Dr. Blake couldn't help herself. How are we unique? Your technology is primitive, but your minds are strange. We cannot read your thoughts as we can with other species. There is something different about the way you think, the way you process information. As they talked, Tony Rodriguez became nervous. He was not used to being around important people, and these aliens were the most important beings he had ever met. Without thinking, he began to do something he always did when he was nervous. He started to hum quietly. It was just a simple tune, something his mother used to sing when he was a child. But the moment the sound left his lips, everything changed. The aliens froze. Their crystal bodies stopped changing colors and became perfectly still. Their large eyes focused on Tony with an intensity that made him stop humming immediately. What? Vector symbols appeared in the air, but they were shaking and unclear. What was that sound? I'm sorry, Tony said quickly. I didn't mean to do anything wrong. Wrong? Victor moved closer to Tony. That sound ... It came from within your body? Yes, it's called humming, Dr. Blake said. It's a form of music. All humans can do it. The aliens looked at each other again, their bodies flashing rapidly through every color imaginable. Music? Victor asked. We do not know this word. Can you make this sound again? Tony looked at Captain Morrison, who nodded. Nervously, Tony began to hum the same simple tune. This time, he continued for a full minute. The aliens' reaction was unlike anything the humans had expected. Some of them began to vibrate, their crystal bodies resonating with the sound. Others seemed to enter a trance-like state, their eyes becoming bright white. When Tony stopped, there was complete silence for a long moment. In 10,000 cycles of our civilization, Victor said finally, we have never experienced anything like this. You create organized sound patterns that carry ... emotion. Meaning beyond words? Yes, Jake said, beginning to realize that they had stumbled onto something much bigger than first contact. All humans can create music. We sing. We play instruments. We make sounds that express our feelings. Show us more, Victor said, and his words appeared larger and brighter than before. Please, show us more of this ... music. The war began 3 days after Jake exposed Senator Williams. The Shadow Assembly struck without warning, attacking human colonies across the galaxy. But these weren't normal military attacks. The enemy was using weapons that Jake had never seen before. They're not trying to destroy our colonies, Agent Chang explained as she showed Jake the battle reports. They're trying to capture our people alive. Why would they want prisoners? Jake asked. To use as hostages, Director Stone said grimly. They're going to force us to surrender you in exchange for human lives. Jake felt sick. His condition was putting innocent people in danger. Families on distant colonies were being captured because of his ability to detect lies. I should turn myself in, Jake said. I can't let people die because of me. Absolutely not, Director Stone replied firmly. Jake, if they capture you, they won't just kill you. They'll study you. They'll try to figure out how your condition works so they can create technology to block it. Then they'll go back to controlling the galaxy like they have for thousands of years. She's right, Agent Chang added. Your ability is the only thing that's ever threatened their power. If they destroy it, no species will ever be free from their manipulation again. Within hours, Jake was moved to the most secure location humanity had. The safe house was built inside an asteroid in the outer rim of human space. It was protected by the best military technology humans possessed. and it was staffed by the most trusted soldiers in the human fleet. Commander Ryan Foster was in charge of Jake's protection. He was a veteran of the border wars and one of the few humans who had actually fought aliens in combat before. "Mr. Martinez," Commander Foster said, "my job is to keep you alive no matter what. We've got enough supplies here to last for years if necessary." Dr. Amy Sullivan was also assigned to the safe house. She was a scientist who specialized in studying alien technology, and her job was to help Jake understand how his condition worked. "Jake," Dr. Sullivan said, "we need to figure out exactly how your ability functions. The more we understand it, the better we can protect you from whatever the Shadow Assembly is planning." For the next several weeks, Jake worked with Dr. Sullivan to map his condition in detail. They discovered that his brain reacted to lies on a quantum level, somehow, detecting when information didn't match reality. "It's incredible," Dr. Sullivan said. "Your nervous system is like a living truth detector that works faster than any computer. When someone lies, your brain immediately knows that the information doesn't fit with the actual state of the universe." Jake was fascinated despite the danger. "Is that why it works against beings like the ethereals? Even when they manipulate reality, my brain can tell that something isn't right." "Exactly. Your condition seems to be connected to the fundamental structure of reality itself. That's why the Shadow Assembly is so afraid of you." Meanwhile, engineer Tony Clark and pilot Sarah Kim were working on the safe house's defenses. Tony was a genius with technology, and Sarah was one of the best pilots in the human fleet. "The problem is," Tony explained, "we're dealing with alien technology that's thousands of years more advanced than ours. The Kef can manipulate matter at the atomic level, and the Voidborn can travel through dimensions we don't even understand. So how do we fight them?" Jake asked. "We don't fight them directly," Sarah said. "We stay hidden and mobile. If they can't find you, they can't capture you." But staying hidden was becoming increasingly difficult. The Shadow Assembly had resources that humanity couldn't match. They had spies among dozens of species, and they controlled communication. Networks across the galaxy. The first major breakthrough came when Jake discovered something disturbing about galactic history. While studying ancient alien texts with Dr. Sullivan, he found records that didn't match what the galaxy believed about its own past. "Dr. Sullivan," Jake said, "these Keth historical records claim they'd been the rulers of the galaxy for 50,000 years. But look at this." He showed her a document written in an ancient language that took weeks to translate. "This says the Keth only arrived in this galaxy 12,000 years ago. Before that, there were completely different civilizations here." Dr. Sullivan studied the document carefully. "Jake, if this is true, then everything the galaxy believes about its history is a lie." "That's not the worst part," Jake said. "Look at this section. It describes what happened to the civilizations that were here before the Keth arrived." Dr. Sullivan read the translation, and her face went pale. They were destroyed. All of them. The Keth didn't just conquer this galaxy. They wiped out every trace of the previous civilizations and rewrote history to make it seem like they had always been here. Jake felt his condition activating, even though no one was speaking. The lies were so deep and so old that they were built into the very foundation of galactic society. "We need to find more evidence," Jake said. "If we can prove that the Shadow Assembly has been lying about galactic history, it might turn other species against them." Over the next month, Jake and his team searched through ancient databases and forgotten archives. What they found was shocking. The entire structure of galactic civilization was based on lies. Trade routes that were supposed to be ancient had actually been established by the Keth to control the flow of resources. Wars that were blamed on territorial disputes had actually been started by Shadow Assembly manipulation. Even the locations of major space stations and colonies had been chosen to serve the Shadow Assembly's hidden agenda. "Jake," Dr. Sullivan said after weeks of research, "we're not just dealing with a conspiracy. We're dealing with the complete fabrication of galactic history. How far back do the lies go? Jake asked. As far as we can trace. The Shadow Assembly has been rewriting reality for 12,000 years. Every species in the galaxy believes. A version of history that serves the Shadow Assembly's interests. Commander Foster interrupted their research with urgent news. Jake, we've got problems. Long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements. It looks like the Shadow Assembly has found our general location. How is that possible? Agent Chang asked. This location is classified beyond top secret. Someone's been feeding them information, Commander Foster said. We have a spy somewhere in the human government. Jake felt the familiar chill of discovery. Commander, gather everyone in the base. I need to ask them some questions. Within an hour, all 43 people in the asteroid base were assembled in the main meeting room. Jake had never tried to use his condition to detect a spy before, but he knew it would work. I'm going to ask everyone the same question, Jake announced. Have you had any contact with Shadow Assembly agents since arriving at this base? One by one, each person answered no. Jake felt nothing from most of them. But when he reached Lieutenant Mark Johnson, a communications officer, his condition activated immediately. Lieutenant Johnson, Jake said, you're lying. You have been in contact with Shadow Assembly agents. Johnson tried to run, but Commander Foster's soldiers were ready. They found a hidden transmitter in Johnson's quarters that had been sending their location to enemy forces. How long have you been working for them? Commander Foster demanded. Johnson laughed bitterly. Since before I was born. My parents were Shadow Assembly agents. I was raised to infiltrate human military forces. Jake felt his condition react again. Johnson was telling the truth about being a lifelong spy, but he was lying about something else. Johnson, you're not telling us everything. What else are you hiding? Nothing, Johnson said quickly. Pain shot through Jake's head. You're lying. There's something else you're not telling us. Johnson's face crumpled. There are others, dozens of us. We've been placed throughout human government and military forces. The Shadow Assembly has been planning humanity's infiltration for decades. Dr. Sullivan looked horrified. Jake, if there are Shadow Assembly agents throughout our government, then nowhere is safe. They know everything we're planning. Not everything, Jake said. They don't know about what we've discovered about galactic history. Johnson was only here to track my location, not to spy on our research. Commander Foster checked his secure. Communicator, Jake, we need to leave immediately. Enemy fleets are approaching our position. We have maybe 6 hours before they arrive. Where can we go? Agent Cheng asked. If they have spies throughout human space, they'll find us anywhere we try to hide. Jake thought about the ancient documents they had been studying. I have an idea. Dr. Sullivan, those records we found mention hidden archives from the civilizations. That existed before the Shadow Assembly. What if some of those places still exist? It's possible, Dr. Sullivan said. But they will be in parts of the galaxy that no one has explored for thousands of years. Then that's where we need to go, Jake said. If we can find evidence of the Shadow Assembly's lies that's hidden in places they don't control, we might be able to expose them to the entire galaxy. Pilot Sarah Kim started preparing their ship for departure. Jake, you're talking about going to completely uncharted regions of space. We don't know what we'll find out there. I know, Jake said. But staying here means capture or death. At least out there, we have a chance to find the truth.